Let's talk herd. Hi, Sam. Thank you for
Hi,
coming.
Camille.
On
Oh,
again.
thank you for having me. It's always
it's so nice.
lovely.
Yeah, I love our discussions.
I do too.
And I was
I do too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking that we could start with this question of truth, because that's what came to me when I was sort of thinking about the whole subject. Like, is there such a thing as absolute truth? And, you know, is it something that we discover and that we share with others, or do we just, is it our own truth? And it seems to be at the root of a lot of stuff, that, because I think so much of the dissent and the trouble, you know, in all worlds, but especially the horse world, comes from this: my way's the right way and your way's wrong. And it's really hard not to feel that way, because it's kind of true for you. So yeah. Like, for me, I would say that the longer that I kind of work with horses and follow what feels good to me, the less I feel that there is a way, you know, like one way. I feel like more and more that there's all these other, you know, different, and there's ways upon ways upon ways, and none of them are really wrong. So I was having a really interesting discussion with my sister yesterday, and she loves the just the postural aspect of riding, and how you can, within a certain structure, you can just get this incredible transcendence, which I think you can, because I've felt that. And then I feel like, for me, I became dissatisfied with the way that you had to set that up. Like, that didn't feel good enough for me, because it felt like we had to sort of push through some things. And I think you can transcend that ultimately, but it didn't feel like, it felt like I wanted it. So it's almost like shining a light on a different part of the process, or changing the parameters. But I don't think that really doesn't feel like anyone's journey other than mine. So yeah, it's complicated. So how do you feel about this whole question of truth? Do you feel like, yeah, you're working towards an approach that is essentially right, you know, and is right for everyone? Where does the conflict come in for you in all of that?
Gosh, this is such a big question and topic, and such an important contemplation. I mean, and it's like you said just moments ago. I mean, our conversation here is about the horse world, but you could take out the phrase horse world and plug in anything. Healthcare,
Absolutely.
politics, religion, spirituality. I mean, it's everything. I mean, for me, and again, I can only speak for me, the ultimate truth is that we are all trees, ants, horses, everything, rocks. We are all spiritual beings having a physical existence on this planet, this small, tiny little speck of a planet in an infinite universe. And for me, that ultimate truth is that in reality, like big R reality, not little r ego reality,
Yeah.
big R reality, the ultimate truth is love. It's all about love.
Yeah.
So it's so easy, I think, to flippantly say that this is my truth and that's your truth, without really helping people understand what that means. Because I think for most day-to-day conversations, when we use that phrase, well, this is my truth, I think it's a way of cutting off a conversation.
Okay, yeah.
It's a way of putting up a little barrier, like I'm not really willing to help you understand my vulnerabilities. And so here's my truth.
Yeah.
And so again, just for me, when I hear someone say that, I hear the person say something different. I hear the person say, okay, this is a vulnerable topic for me. I'm not sure how to address this. I've come to an opinion about something that I'm staking a flag in, and this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But I always like having the deeper conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If somebody's willing to go there.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because if I look back at my life, I have, even in a day, even in an hour, I have multiple truths.
Yeah.
For instance, I have a conversation with a client, and that it's a beautiful conversation. They ooh and ah about what I did to their horse. And I leave that conversation. And if I'm in my ego space, I can easily say, wow, man, I feel really good about who I am and what I did. And 10 minutes later, I could have, and so that's my truth. I feel really good.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm making a difference in the world. But then 10 minutes later, I could have a conversation with a client who's maybe not understanding what I'm doing or not seeing the changes as quickly and is disappointed or rarely is anyone upset. But I could then leave that conversation literally with a different truth in my head about who and what I am.
Yes.
And so none of that is really the ultimate truth.
Yeah.
It's a belief about something or someone, me, or some behavior in a moment in time.
Yeah.
And so is that really truth, or is that a belief?
Yes. It's kind of like defining truth, isn't it? Yeah, because when you say that, it's really clear to me that where you like your it's like how you react to what is, like the clients, how they feel, or even how things are going with your horse, and how you react, how you interacted with them that day, and all of those things are like, that can't really be defined as truth. That the way that you respond, it's almost like there's something deeper that sort of anchors you. Yeah.
So, and that deeper thing really is the truth. So if I go below and I'll just again use that example of about me. If I go below this belief that I have in my head, right? Because it's only me telling myself.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that client, what that client said. It's how I'm interpreting what that person said.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm interpreting that with a story, right? A belief in a story that I have made up. And that's not truth, because truth cannot change. That's my interpretation of truth. Truth cannot change. So if I go below that and I really connect with my deeper truth of who I am, the spiritual being having a human experience, and my mission in life to express myself from a heart-centered place, and I connect with that, my heart, and I remember that I am here to feel and be and express love. And so then how can I judge myself as bad?
Yeah, exactly.
Or how can I believe something that makes me feel crappy?
Yeah.
Now, I'm all for learning from my mistakes, and I have made many, many, many mistakes. And, say something that might hurt another person's feelings, or another person might misinterpret something I've said and I've done. So I can definitely reflect on how my actions may have contributed to someone not feeling good. But that's still not, for me, that's still not a truth. That's kind of those all these layers that we have on top of us. So the truth is taking all those layers off. And then what is the truth? 10 years ago, if I would have used that phrase, this is my truth with horses, 10 years ago, my truth with horses would have been, I was all in on natural horsemanship. I just thought that was the bee's knees. That's my truth. And if I was in that dualistic thinking of horsemanship is correct, and by saying that, then that makes something else incorrect. That's that phrase, that's that quote I sent you from chapter 2 of the Tao Te Ching, right? You label something as beautiful, and so by defining something as beautiful, then that means there's something else that's ugly.
Exactly. There has to be contrast. I feel I suppose when I think about my truth, like what I would mean by that, it's not really in terms of I'm defending it. I totally get what you're saying, and I agree with that. That's kind of why often people do that. Like they've got a truth that's like their identity. And you kind of defend your identity and you become attached to it. So, and obviously I still do that for certain things. And I think I'm more aware now when I'm doing that. But I think that kind of only comes up when you feel you have to defend it. I suppose when I said my truth, in the context I meant it in was what I what inspires me is kind of unique to me. So, and I don't know if this is just part of my personal journey, but I've become less like maybe 10 years ago, like you say, I was quite attached to a way of doing things. I mean, obviously that changes all the way through as I sort of learn and, but attached to the fact that there is like a way, and wanting to share that, like wanting that to be a way for others. And I don't know if it's just part of a journey that I'm on, and I'm not saying it's like right or wrong or anything, but I feel like now I've kind of just lost interest in that. Even in being like, what's the word? Like a sort of a figurehead or a pioneer or a bastion of like a way. Like I don't even that. It's almost like it feels very personal, what I feel like I'm doing or being or becoming with the horses, and it just doesn't feel relevant anymore to write a book or have an approach or like, just be something, like stand for something, even to have a name for it. Although I do enjoy sharing, I love obviously talking about it. People are probably fed up hearing talking what I say about it. I love talking about it, but I just feel like, and that's maybe something to be to look at as well. Like, why do I feel that? Because I don't think there's anything wrong with with the opposite of that. I mean, obviously, when there's a lot of ego attached to it, it's not very attractive. If you think that your way is the way, and you kind of underestimate other things, or you judge other things that aren't coming up to that, and that doesn't feel liberating or inspiring either. And I don't know if it is because of part of a spiritual awakening, or it's just it's because it really is a personal journey, like what I feel that I'm kind of doing, and it's not something that's that's really shareable, or so. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of why I say that about truth, because I totally agree with you that the truth is that we are love, and that's where we're always being taken back to, and that's the anchor. And so, yeah.
So what I heard you say is that your approach has become very personal with the horses, and that this personal exploration that you're on is, and this is my interpretation because you didn't use these words, but I kind of sense that this personal exploration that you're on is maybe beyond words. So it's that personal approach. Where you're at right now is either not ready for primetime TV, not ready for you to share, this approach. Or maybe it's just not for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think everything in the world has to be shouted from, the treetops.
Yeah.
And have people unify around something.
Yeah.
I mean, just you expressing your beautiful energy with your horses is not just influencing your horses, though. That's the thing. You coming fully into your expression, however that is, right? That's that butterfly effect. You being fully expressive is changing the world. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops. Because we all are connected, right? We are in this magical universe. So if one person totally fulfills their purpose and doesn't have to shout it from the rooftops, you are changing the world. Just you and your horses, if that's what you choose to do.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up, that particular point, because I really feel that sometimes I can feel that, and I'm not talking, just me. I think for everyone who does that real inner, that rapport, that connection, that on that level, on that energetic or vibrational level, I think it does. It's like, it doesn't need to come out of that and go into words and go back into the mind. It can just, on that level, it's like a ripple that just kind of goes out and changes the coherence of everything.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe that's just enough,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just enough right now. I mean, our life, right? We can only be fully here right now. And so right now, in this moment, is that enough?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's not going to be enough 2 weeks from now or 2 years from now.
Yeah.
It only matters if it's enough right now. And I think this is where our world right now can so heavily influence us. And this happens to me all the time. You're on social media, and I'm a small business owner, so I do the whole social media marketing game. And there are moments where I think, oh my gosh, I've got to do this and I have to do this. And if this thing doesn't happen, then I'm not making an impact. And that's just in that materialistic world that we live in. But the bigger world, the truth, right? The truth of who we are and why we're here, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What really matters is this deeper connection with our source. When you were talking, it reminds me of the story of Van Gogh. There was a movie.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
several years ago.
That.
Oh my gosh. I loved that movie because to me, it's so represented what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
Here he was, poor. People treated him like crap. And he was so overcome with the joy of nature and expressing his interpretation of that through his art. I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, maybe it did, but he tolerated so much just to fulfill that.
And he still had that struggle.
That connection with his source.
There was still that real life thing.
Yeah, for sure. Oh gosh.
It's all connected. Like when you were talking about the social media, I thought, in a way, we're going through this revolution at the moment where we're all discovering a little bit, well, that's a generalization. A lot of people are individuating, they're like discovering and exploring and actually believing that they can live in the world of, in being able to pay your mortgage and stuff through their creativity. And yet, along with that, so with Van Gogh, it's the same. Like, even in his time, it was still like he couldn't just be a painter. He had to live and eat, and, so it's almost like more and more and more people are in this fight. It's like this struggle because there's the aspect of just doing what you love and just, really living that and being that. And then the whole other face of it, or with the interaction with the small real world, small reality, as you were talking about before, like making money, like just how to make that work. And it's not as easy as to balance those, because the way I feel about it is that I don't want to. I feel really ambivalent about social media at the moment. I'm like, I just deeply, deeply can't be bothered. I've got this inertia about it because it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like I'm really I don't know. There's a funny thing about it, and I don't know if it's because of the way it's set up. I don't know if it's the algorithm and the system, because it's a lot more. It's unsettled. Like, if you look into it and the way it is, there's no freedom in it. It's very, very limited. And I don't know if I can sense that in energy, or if it's just because I used to really enjoy it. I used to love writing and people, and there would be discussions, and it was all very active and very fertile feeling. But that's all changed for me personally. And I don't know if that's just because I've gone off the wall for a lot of people, like too esoteric, too, out of the field of vision, or if it's related to social media itself and how it works and because I don't think it was like that at the beginning. I don't think it had that kind of particular setup. So yeah, I hope that doesn't move off from what you were saying, but it's just, it feels for me, like with Van Gogh, like the level of creativity of just being able to be that what inspires you. And that it feels like the more time you spend in that, and the more you just let go of the rest of it, well, then we'll somehow be able to make it like that, make that work without. And it doesn't feel to me like, there's it's maybe just because I am actually changing direction a little bit at the moment. So it's a different thing that inspires me. So it could be that in my case. But I do think if you get too bogged down in the marketing and the social media, it alters your voice and what you're offering. And
I think it can, for sure, if you allow those algorithms to kind of dictate how you approach it. It can, or you could flip the coin and look at it from a different perspective and try to use those algorithms to connect with people that maybe want to hear your voice. So there's as always, we have a zillion choices. in this world. And getting back to your original question, allowing that inner source or inner truth or your inner guidance system to direct you. And so maybe for you right now, social media isn't the right thing for you.
Yeah, I mean,
why can't
exactly.
that be okay?
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I tell myself, that is okay, you know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very comforting to remind you as well, to remind ourselves, I think, that we don't have to be seen on that level that we are seen, you know, just through our vibration. So it's not about that. And I think often it's not like, I don't know how you feel that you reach people, but I'm sure it's not necessarily through that. It's just because it's meant to be that people find you, you know, and they might find you through any different, but they're going to find you know, however that happens.
And that has been a big lesson for me, to release that expectation of, I'm going to put this marketing out there and release the expectation that that is going to have a reciprocal effect of bringing me new clients. And there are numerous times where I, you know, because it's life. There are ebbs and there are flows all the time. And when you're a small business owner, you feel those ebbs and flows. And yet, when I get to the bottom and I think, oh, you know, maybe I'm just not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just supposed to be doing this with my own horses, my own equine, my own dogs. And when I get to that point of acceptance and allowing that to be okay, because I don't need I don't need the external standards. When I remember that, then it's like the faucet turns on.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. But I have to again get out of this thing. This is my challenge. I have to get out of this and back into this. And why I get to do what I'm doing. And then that chi flows. But when I start to think about all of the day-to-day stuff, and I start to restrict that chi flow, and I start to grip harder and seek more and attach myself to some desired outcome, then the chi starts to slow down.
Yeah. And it's almost like when you say to yourself that maybe I'm not supposed to be doing it for others, that's like a way of just taking all the pressure off, because you've just changed the parameters. You can sort of, you can just say, oh, well, that's, that's okay as well for that to be the case. And that just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it
Mm-hmm.
takes all that pressure away.